I'm just going to show you today how to take a sample essay or paragraph or thesis statement and use it as a guide for your own writing. You can even think of it as using the sentences in each paragraph or the thesis, as this example has, as a way to make a template. So I'm going to show you how to think of the samples as templates that you can make and modify to fit what you're saying. So here is a sample thesis statement. The one that is not in bold is the original. And it says, although it would be nice to be able to potentially end poverty, there should not be a universal basic income because it would create a countrywide divide, raise taxes, and reduce incentive to work hard. So this student took my sample and she argued the other side, which is great. And let's just examine how she created her thesis. She started by acknowledging the other side's best argument and then continued on with her argument, which she clearly stated using a should statement, and also offered 3 reasons. So you could just make yourself a little template starting with although, just like she did, and then acknowledge the best of the other side. For example, if you are doing the argumentation essay on should everybody be vegan, you could say, although, eating meat has been done for thousands of years, you may find that being vegan is better because blank, blank, and blank. Okay, so you would offer your 3 reasons and acknowledge the other side first. That's a good way to establish your argumentation thesis statement. Now she has her argument paragraph, and I just want to show you how I would read this paragraph and create a template using the basic steps of the quote burger method, what I know about that, as far as starting with a main idea, introducing a source, quoting the source, doing the parenthetical citation, reacting to or reiterating what I have just quoted, and then answering so what to connect back to the main idea sentence and the thesis statement. So what I have done here is just read her opening lines and thought, how can I do that? So she starts with, it is important for what? So I just kind of copied that. That's the main idea she starts with. She has 2 sentences for her main idea, which is great. Not completely necessary. So if you just have 1 great sentence before you quote something, that's fine. You just don't want to start a paragraph with a quotation, ever. So always start with your own words in each paragraph. And she says it is important, and then her topic is not my topic. So if I'm saying I'm writing about whether or not we should all be vegan, then I will say it is important to recognize whatever I want to say about the importance of becoming vegan, which I'm not, just full disclosure. So full admiration for those of you who are. Then her next sentence continues on with that main idea, but goes from a more general statement to a more specific statement about her specific argument, which is a great way to start that first argumentation. So we have the claim that supports the thesis. That's what she's doing in the second sentence. You could just start with that, okay? Then we have the quotation, and she starts with according to. And so I just made myself a little template, according to. And she gives a good deal of her own words before she actually directly quotes the meat, the part that she is really ironic in a vegan thing. But anyway, she directly quotes the meat, which is the direct quotation, the words that are most important for her source to prove her point. And then she includes the parenthetical citation. If this is an article title, it would require quotation marks around it. Because it is a poll, then it probably has quotation marks for a title. I don't have her works cited with me. When I see a date in the parenthetical citation, I'm a little skeptical because I think you might be using APA instead of MLA format, so watch out for that. But generally, a poll or a chart or a graph or a survey may have a date in the title. All right, so after her parenthetical citation, she creates a sentence that reacts to and reiterates or explains what she has just quoted. So she does that this way: if blank, then blank. So I would do that for my topic. She's done that for her topic, okay? And then finally, she has a sentence at the end, as you should for the end of every paragraph, that connects the thing that you've just quoted and reacted to back to the main idea sentence and the overall thesis of the whole essay. So make sure you do that. And it's just the bottom bun that answers so what. She started with because, so I just made myself a little template based on what she said, because blank, and then repeat something like the should statement in the thesis. That's what I have deduced that she has done. Okay, so she has should not here. So you may have should in your last sentences of each body paragraph a lot, because you are really trying to drive home that point, that argument. Remind your reader constantly of the argument. Now I have a sample counter argument with rebuttal from the same essay, and it's all done together in one paragraph. So she starts with the counter argument, and the best way to do that is by establishing that this is not my idea, but this is what some other people believe. So I just made myself a little template here. Some say, and then give what some say. And then she gives a nutshell interpretation of the counterclaim or counter argument. Okay. Then she introduces the source that she's quoting from and really does a nice job of establishing the credentials of that source, gives the background of the source. Do that a lot, especially in an argumentation essay. Establishing that your sources are credible is part of making a good argument. So she's acknowledging the credible source from the other side, which seems like, why would I do that? Because I'm trying to argue my point. But when you can acknowledge the other side and establish the best of what they have said, and then come back and say, this is great, but we have better reasons for believing or doing the other thing, another aspect of the argument, that really shows that you have done your research, you understand the full conversation. If a reader thinks that you don't understand both sides or multiple sides, and all I'm asking for is two sides in your argument, but establishing that you have an understanding of the full conversation is super important. Now, she has given that information, and notice how little she's actually quoting. You don't have to use big chunks of text that you're quoting directly. Just use a little bit. It shows that you really understand enough to put a lot of it in your own words and then just give me the most meaningful part in the direct quotations. Here she has cited the source by the last name of the author, which is what you should always do if there is an author listed. And then she is reacting to the quotation. So let's look at the template, how I kind of followed her example. So she has established her quote. She's directly quoted the other side. She included the parenthetical citation. Now, this is the part where I might need help establishing a sentence, and I can use what she has written to write my own reaction to the counter argument. And she just starts by explaining that she understands what the source means, the other side, and acknowledges the good part. Okay, and then she starts with the rebuttal really here, but she still has it in green. That's fine. The colors can get a little tricky here. I'm really just looking to see that you know how the basic elements fall within the order of writing good paragraphs. So really she could make this part brown if she wanted to before she goes into the other information for the rebuttal. So I have rebuttal marked here. So this is brown again for me because I feel like she is already starting in the rebuttal because she started with however, and that's a great transition word to start your rebuttal because it's saying this is great, and then however is like a really good academic way to say but. So use however, especially if you're starting a sentence. You want that that adverb there. All right, and so for the rebuttal, you're going to introduce another direct quotation for the best support for your original argument. So don't leave out evidence from a source. Use your best source in the rebuttal. And then directly quote the most important words of your side's position. That should be the argument. Okay, so that's the argument. And always include a parenthetical citation with the author's last name or article title if there is no author. And still, again, every time you quote something, you're going to reiterate and react to that quotation. And so she is using her own words, and I just made a template based on her words. Now, I'm very tempted to change her words, use them, sort of use the established sentence as a guide, but I wouldn't necessarily keep this fill in the blank part unless I just really didn't know what to say. So I'm just showing you how to make sure that you can follow an example and use it for your own. So here is her sentence. And here is the fill in the blank template. Blank would not blank. It would simply blank. Okay, that is just reiterating or restating what she has quoted, and then she continues to develop her argument. On top of that, blank would blank instead of blank. So this fill in the blank part feels a little repetitive, but when you are writing your draft, you want to get as much on the page as you can. You can always go back when you revise and take out what feels repetitive. And then finally, she has the bottom bun, which you must always have. Always end your paragraphs with the so what part, explaining how what you've just talked about in the whole paragraph and quoted from sources relates to the main idea of the paragraph and helps prove the thesis. So she's done that here. And I have made a little template based on what she's written. So blank would not help, it would blank, which is bad because blank. And then make sure that you have a sentence that really supports the should statement. Go back and put a should statement at the end of every paragraph so that we can understand how each smaller point that you make really relates back to what you are trying to say for your overall argument. So that's a start. Email me if you have any questions.